I have no idea whether this would be visible on big screen or not. It's not visible on my small screen, but yeah, he's flown away. Anyway, it was another one of those situations where you had crows attacking eagles. Hey, 你好。They ignored me. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so this is a fairly common thing, I guess, is crows attacking eagles. It's a great show. It's a great aerial combat show. But this eagle managed to get the crows to go away, and he also could, from this distance anyway, could remain in exactly one spot. So he must have had like a wind coming and was able to make adjustments so that he didn't move. So he must have had like a wind coming and was able to make adjustments so that he didn't move. He didn't move. I'm sure I've never seen that before. I've never seen a bird that could just sit absolutely still like that. Maybe I have, but I don't think I've ever seen an eagle do it. It's incredible. Let's zoom her out here. Certainly. Oh, that is zoomed out. Uh-oh. Probably no chance of seeing that eagle then if I wasn't zoomed in before. Hey. Crows attacking the eagle. Oh no. Yep. I'm at Colony Farms. Colony Farms was a super successful, what did they call it? What did they used to call it? Rehabilitation through labor. That was the concept that they had in the earlier part of the century. Rehabilitation through labor. When was the last time you heard anybody say that? Like, don't you think with the length of time that the opioid crisis has been going on that you get a little more thinking outside the box, wouldn't you? Maybe those people could even humble themselves and look back to the wisdom of the past, see if they can't find something in there that's worth it. Colony Farms was attached to Riverview, and the patients at Riverview ran a really successful farm. I mean, I think that it was, people would visit it from all over the world. Vancouver was a real hot spot, you know, a lot of people came from around the world to see what was happening in Vancouver, like a long time ago, 100 years ago. Anyway, what's happening here is that the people from Riverview's closed now. You'd think, wouldn't you think, that they could house a few addicts there? It's a psychiatric facility, right? And just down the hill, what they had was Colony Farms. It's hugely productive, hugely successful, sort of world famous actually. And now, I don't know, there's a community garden, really extensive one. So there's still people gardening and stuff in here. But I don't know if it's a farm exactly. I think it's just like grassland. It's probably become really good habitat for birds. So that's really positive. But yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a solution to the opioid thing. Just house people that are absolutely mentally ill, right? They got comorbidities. You know, there's some of them I think are like the older ones would be ones that were let out of Riverview a long time ago, and now they're living on the streets, addicted to the strongest doses of heroin that the world has ever seen. Living on the street. The only reason that they can do it really is because they're so stoned. If they weren't that stoned, they couldn't be sleeping outside. There's just no chance. They're just so stoned they can sleep outside. Hey, you know, this used to be Colony Farms. It was rehabilitation through labor for psychiatric students at Riverview.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, think about that. So you would think that maybe they would think to put some of the drug addicted and homeless in Riverview, and maybe even in a dream world, let them start working.
Yeah, it's bizarre that they shut down Riverview. but
Yeah,
we need it more than
with,
ever.
with so many people that don't have a home
Yeah, exactly.
and suffering from psychiatric institute. Yeah, they're suffering from psychiatric.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to see my video?
Sorry?
I'm gonna make a YouTube video,
Okay.
and I'm talking about it right now because I'm talking about it to you guys. But that's what I was talking about it here as well, right? The fact that the land that we're standing on right now was used for it helped people with mental illnesses to connect with the land and do something meaningful, and it helped with their anxieties and sense of meaninglessness and stuff.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So it's Vancouver, no expectations of colony farms. Do you think my idea is an interesting one?
Yeah, yeah.
It is. It really, isn't it?
Check that out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Vancouver, no expectations of colony farm. Sorry, check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you. Bye. Vancouver, no expectations of colony farms. I'm real cheesed about this. Heroin addicts have been able to sleep standing up forever. Just forever they've been able to do that. Just exactly how that they managed to do that, I don't know. But they're asleep and they're standing up, right? And their heads nobble over, and you know, maybe they look like they're sitting up or something, but they're just dead asleep, right? Just conscious enough to stay upright. But I imagine it's just an automatic response from their body. They wouldn't know that they're holding themselves up, I don't think. Much. A bit they would. Anyway, the reason that their backs are in the shape of the C is because they go into this extended nod where their back just takes the shape of a C.
Beginning of June before.
Like when they're really stoned, look at the way that they're sitting down usually, and they're just curled up like an infant in a kind of a fetal position. I bet that's no accident. I bet that's how they feel the most secure, is rolled up into a fetal position. But the thing is that they've done it for so long that their backs are crippled, like really badly. I don't know how easy or difficult it would be to help those people, but how's it going? So downriver from here, you've got, what do they call it? Forensic penitentiary, which means that the most dangerous people in the world go in there, right? In Canada go in there. They're really for extremely violent criminals. It's kind of funny because when you walk by there, they're out on the grounds. They could jump over the fence if there's a car waiting or something. I'm sure that those guys, like if someone escapes from this prison, it's a really big deal, and they'd probably get caught. But it is a little bit spooky. So there's that penitentiary, and then just up the road is Riverview, and then if you come down this ditch, they call it Lund Creek or something. Yeah, I made a big mistake today. This isn't good. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I should have done that before. What if I zoomed in or something? No, yeah, I'll zoom in. There we go. That's more interesting, isn't it? Let's pick it up a bit. There it is. Yeah, and then there's an Aboriginal band. I forget the name of it, but that's right beside it. And this is just the side channel off of the river thing. I don't know what all they think is what. Do you think I should ask people about this? Hey, can I ask you something? It's going to be kind of like a little story.
A little which?
A little story.
Oh, you know what?
You can't take it, eh?
No, Toronto's playing. I gotta get home.
Why isn't Riverview being used to house people who are desperately mentally ill and drug addicted? That's just the question. So let's just make it.
There's treatment centers there.
Not much.
Yeah, actually quite a bit.
How many people?
I don't know off the bat. My partner does archaeology out there, so they're aware.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so actually, maybe I'm full of it.
There will be actually BC housing there too.
Okay. I didn't catch that, but these managerial type ladies usually know what they're talking about. Really smart. So here comes another one. I think she might be more hippified or something. Hey, can I ask you a question? Why doesn't Riverview house the mentally ill and drug addict in Vancouver?
I think it's closed down now.
Yeah. Oh my God. But how many people could be off the street, have a bed, and be in a psychiatric facility where they're supposed to do this kind of thing? They're not doing their job.
Well,
They're really not doing their job.
it's yeah, even some people don't respond to meds. It's tough.
Yeah.
I know.
So I think I've conducted a fairly good canvass. There's only one guy that was really unfriendly. Yeah. My guess would be it would have been a local. Distinctly unfriendly. You can't imagine how delighted I am to come across this sign again, because I had the impression that this was the Coquitlam River. And that's really neat to me because, okay, so I'm gonna get to know this river. What I can say is that for the last couple of days, I felt that the stretch of river on, I guess it would be the east side, on the right side going up, from Lougheed to David Avenue is definitely one of the very prettiest pieces of river I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, yeah, this is so cool to me. So I'm a kilometer away from where the Coquitlam River runs into the Fraser. And I'm looking up here and just wondering, what in the heck am I even looking at? Because, no, I don't know. I'm having a really hard time just figuring out the mountains around here. Which mountain has what name? Is that really the one I'm thinking it is? Because you look at them from different angles, and from closer up or further away, they look very different. But I mean, it's an interesting challenge, but no, I'm not gonna be fake. It bugs me. It just irritates me. I can't figure out. It's just this thing that's kind of, I guess if I really focused on it for a while, I'd probably start to get it figured out, but I bet it'd always be a bit different. So there's to Fraser River, 1 kilometer. Yeah, so, how often have you ever heard anybody say, maybe what we did was made a mistake when we quit busting small-time users a long time ago. Why don't we go back to busting? Why don't we go back to making it like really illegal to use it? Just go back to the old model. It was working better than this one. Like, you'd think somebody would at least say it. And now and it has to be done. It's the only thing that's humane or wise or would work. They need to be arrested and put through a really gentle program. Maybe arrested, but with no record that they had to show, or they could keep the record, would never be shared with anyone. Just rewrite the laws so that there's not that criminal element of it, that punishment that just makes it impossible for people who've committed crimes to get a job or anything, right? It pays bills to keep us sick. That was scrawled on the back of the Carnegie Library. It stood there for a long time. Pays bills to keep us sick. And actually flat out saying that gender isn't related to sex. They actually make that argument. It's just, like, the difference between men and women is really well established. There are big differences between men and women, and you have to respect them, or else people are not going to be happy. Like, just everything is just so screwed up on so many levels. It really, I should have been using my gimbal, shouldn't I? Sorry about that. Here, let me get her set up. It's utter madness. Absolute utter madness. Christy Freeland and what's that woman's name? Hillary Clinton had an hour-long talk, and it was, I mean, that is really disturbing. Really disturbing. That you should watch that. Because one of the ways that they've seriously got a chance of winning is by capturing the vote of feminists. There's a lot of, and they're politically active. And that, if they're elected again, that will be largely who did it. That's disgusting. That is so disgusting. Feminism grew out of communism. And now it's screwing us like this. Hillary Clinton was interesting. Really quite interesting. She had quite a lot to say. She's very concerned about ChatGPT. And she's a super intelligent woman. I don't take that away from her. They really kind of had it going, right? The crowd was really pretty excited, you know. Rah, rah, women power, rah, rah, women power. That's basically what they're doing. And they're listing off their accomplishments and all this stuff. And Christy Freeland's like yattering away for, I think it's 5 or 8 minutes before she gave Hillary Clinton a chance to talk. And Hillary Clinton, like, she doesn't fool around. She was irritated, man. Really irritated. She just strikes me as being such an idiot.
Christy
She's like
Freeland.
a childish idiot to me.
I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton. I'm talking about Christy Freeland.
Really super irritating person. Condescending and slow. Right? She'll slowly explain something to you that you've moved like 5 moves down the line from where she is, right? What she's saying you've known for 50 years. And there's been different sorts of analysis done, especially in the last 20. We're having a renaissance of critical thinking, basically, and challenging what feminists are doing to the country. Are you kidding? Like, we're finding out. That's what the whole thing is. Justin Trudeau is the most feminist prime minister in history, and how do you think he's doing? How do you think he's doing? Gallivanting around, spending way too much money on everything, treating himself to indulgences. Like, that's really dictatorial. That's dictators do that because that's, you know, why wouldn't? That's what you'd expect a dictator to do. They want everything for themselves, right? It's going to take 100 years to psychoanalyze that guy, and people are working on it, right? It's not like there aren't people around who know a great deal about his career and personality and everything else. And they'll be writing about it for a long time. I hope that I am, actually. The problem is I can't get bothered to write anything. I just don't feel like it. I think if I had a keyboard, I might. Here I am whining. Yeah, can you imagine if he were to win again? We're going to be decades paying off the excess amount that he borrowed, and by borrowing caused inflation that hit everybody again. And then because of the inflation, you had the high interest rates. He is largely responsible for that, for the problems that we're having with inflation and interest rates. That's like a direct, real serious tax on the poor, especially. And then they're raising taxes at the same time. Like, just the economic damage. But it's the damage to our souls that he's done that I think well, I think that honestly that it will take a long time to heal from. Because I'm traumatized by what he's done. Why wouldn't I be traumatized? Just what I just told you. $10 billion a year, $20 billion would probably be going on just for interest payments. Not even paying down the collateral or whatever. Not the collateral, what is it? You know, say it all at once. Paying down on the principal. I got it first. He allowed the Chinese Communist Party to really get kind of blatantly involved in our politics, like right out in the open. We know, everybody knows it was happening. They told kids that if they wouldn't get on the bus and take the bus to go and vote for a Liberal candidate, that they'd take away their student visas. All kinds of stuff like that. Like there's a whole bunch of them, right? You should really learn a lot about all the different things, all the different payments, the intimidation. And what people aren't talking about is the total corruption of the Chinese media. Like it's kind of wild. Trudeau's always talking about how misinformation is a problem. I haven't even seen anybody translate it. Like we're so stupid that we allow the Chinese Communist Party to run a Chinese language press and we don't even see what they're doing. How really stupid could you get? And I could work on it, you know? So I'm pointing fingers all around, including it myself. Yeah. Like there's still inside me a sort of a 10 years ago self that would regard the current situation with Trudeau and with all the rest of it as well. The crime and the drug addiction and this transgender stuff. And they're not doing the transgender people any good. What are they doing? They're causing a lot of anger towards transgender people, right? How many transgender people are there around that don't want it? And I bet they're afraid to talk. Right? There would be transgender people who are not happy about what's happening in nursery schools. For sure, there would be transgender people that really don't like it because they would understand what kind of abuse that is. They're not saying anything because they're afraid too. Colony Farm was one of BC's most outstanding architectural successes. It began in 1904 when the province established Essendale, a mental hospital, and acquired 1,000 acres of fertile rural land for a farm to provide food and rehabilitative labor for patients. For over 70 years, the farm flourished. It was a world-renowned breeder of Holstein cattle and provided foundation stock for most of BC's dairy farms. People came from around the world to see the award-winning livestock and popular Clydesdale horses, to taste choice produce and to tour its immaculate facilities. Today, the Poco Trail passes across the farm that is now but a memory, a place once proudly acclaimed as the best in the West. That's sad. Oh, there's remnants of the farm right there. BC's such a hoot. There's one guy, I forgot his name, but he goes and he checks out on the heritage buildings in British Columbia, and some of the heritage buildings in British Columbia, you know, like it's a pretty serious uphill hike into like really rough country to even get there, right? But he goes, it's absolutely incredible. His show is fantastic. Luke, Life of Luke, that's what it is. That guy is fantastic. Life of Luke is a good show. He's got a pleasing personality. Like it doesn't, I don't know, his personality doesn't really impress on you so much. You're more focused on the place that he's in. He's a kind of soft sort of person, but really super strong. He's a soft and really super strong person. That's how I would describe it. And if any ladies are listening, yeah, he's not bad looking either. I suppose there are men that would want that information as well before they looked up the life of Luke. Sometimes I feel that I'm living the life of Luke. And I am. I'm doing the old folks version of Luke. Pretty wild, eh? I hope that they're working to preserve some of these. Seriously. They better be doing that. Here, I'm getting mad again. It doesn't look like this is being taken care of to me. That's a crime. That's a real piece of history. This is where Riverview used to send people for, well, I think it was quite effective, rehabilitation through employment. Not a good idea. I mean, people seem to think that there's a certain type of person who seems to think of the past as being an unmitigated disaster in terms of human rights and things like that, and in terms of the way that people thought, philosophy, and that sort of thing. Yeah. Now again, dummies. It's the grass that looks good, isn't it? It's the grass that looks good, isn't it? Isn't it? Doesn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah, the grass is so green. Green grass. I wonder what this stuff is. I probably shouldn't be walking. I'm not walking on it, but I'm walking beside it. You know, there seems to be a lot of it. I won't do that again, I don't think. I wonder what it is. What is that stuff? So what is this thing exactly here? What do we got? It's sort of a bog, right? This thing doesn't know if it's a bog or a lawn. It's both. That's fantastic. I wonder if you could walk over there. I don't think I should, but just curious. Some sort of rough-looking ones walking by just now. I find it best not to look at them. Which puts you at a disadvantage. Because as they go by, they have several moments in which they can see you and you can't see them. That's the problem. When you're running into, passing by these, let's face it, violent people. You don't want to look them in the eye, because that's a challenge and an invitation. It's both. They like that. Those kind of people target people who are a little bit curious about them, who look at them. Like I did it yesterday, because there was one guy in there, and honestly, I think he was probably about 6'9". I would say he was 6'9". Maybe taller, maybe, and so skinny, and his face was just so shriveled and tiny. He's like a 6'9" guy, and he's got this peckerhead head on him. Right? It's just an amazing looking thing. Yeah. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. I mean, it's a deal, and I think that sunglasses are really good defense. That's what I think, because the eye contact thing is where they sort of set you up. So you want to avoid that, but you don't want to be really obvious about avoiding it. You don't want to be looking that way because you're scared or like hostile. And a lot of the time, I'm kind of sure is that they're like watching people as they go by, right? Sometimes you can, I'm sure that if you just acknowledge them, they take it as a kind of a show of respect. You don't have like grovel or anything, just, oh, this was so weird. This was so weird. It was at New Westminster, right? You know, New Westminster Station is a pretty crazy place. And I'm walking up the street, and there's these three guys in there. They're sitting down on the curb, but you know, they're obviously real trouble, right? And I'm walking up the street, and I can't really like deke the other way or something. I guess I could have. But that would have been like running. If you run, they'll chase you. If they can run. They're pretty good on their feet. You know, they get around. They walk. There goes my boss. Gosh. Get a new plan, Dad. Just listen to me. Yeah, so the thing is, I'm really, really curious because he looks so awful, right? 6'9", skinny as a beanpole. His wife or girlfriend or whatever is a big one, right? And there's him, and you're just going, how did your face get so sunken? I think probably he's one of those guys with a bit of a big nose and a weak chin. And then all of his teeth fell out, so his chin receded even further. And he lost a bunch of weight, and he just looks like a weasel. He's a weasel face on a 6'9" body. And so I could feel that he goes, oh, whatever, so this means I can fuck with you. Eh? Okay, great, right? And he sort of even moves towards me a bit. And, you know, he's just gonna, if I didn't quit looking at him, he's gonna fuck me up. He was sort of warning me, don't look at me, right? Probably gets a lot of people looking at him. I don't really blame him that much for that. So since then I've been thinking, okay, what if you're actually in a situation where that guy actually has decided to beat you up? What would you do? Like, literally, what would you do? You're literally going to do something. What would it be? He's going to come at you probably he's going to be leaning over you with like a kind of a bear hug, kind of almost inviting you in there. That's what he would be doing. And then he would punch you on the way in or on the way out, or he'd grab your neck and twist your head off, or whatever. Or do nothing, who knows, right? But this guy's obviously someone that's practiced in the art of violence. I've just missed my bus, so it could go for a walk down to the river. Citadel Landing. Yeah, last time I was here, I ran into a junkie, and she told me that there are still apple trees growing from Colony Farms on the other side here. She's going to show them to me. But, yeah, sorry, I haven't been looking at the thing. Yeah, I got to go because my battery's running out. Alrighty. Check you later. Oh my God. I can't find the button. What am I gonna do? So I just came across this highway, whatever it is, Highway 7 or something, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it's probably Highway 7. Anyway, and I'm walking across there and I get talking to this obviously a homeless person, but and she's telling me about how she found apple trees from when Colony Farm was there, because obviously there wouldn't be apple trees here if there was no Colony Farm. So it's a sort of well, it is a piece of history, and it should be regarded and protected as such, or just left alone. That'd be even better, I guess, but not really, because nobody would have a chance to appreciate it or even be encouraged to appreciate it. It's a curious set of priorities, if you ask me. I'm learning to trust that little voice in my head that says, hang on. Because what just happened was that I went down here to the first place that you can get down to the river, and it's a really beautiful spot. Like, I'm really kind of cheesed, actually. Maybe I'll even try to get down to the river somewhere else. But anyway. So I looked down there, and look, like you could walk down there pretty easily, you know, tumble down some rocky thing, and not difficult. And I'm looking at it, and there's a sort of a big dark spot, and I think, what is that? Is that like a fire burned a log or whatever, right? So I just stop and look at that, kind of take it in, you know. And then I look at it and I go, what is that? Yeah. And then he starts moving. Yeah. So last two outings I've spotted a bear.